to the Redevelopment Agency, Public Finance Authority, Public Utility Authority, Housing Authority, Perris Joint Powers Authority, and the Perris Community Economic Development Corporation of the City of Perris, this Tuesday, December 10th, 2019, 6:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Rabb,
Here.
Councilmember Rogers,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Magana,
Here.
Councilmember Corona,
Here.
Mayor Vargas.
Here, thank you. Okay, shame on me for item 3. I never read the invocation. I'm going to have a tough time with this name. Father Teodorico Takasian. Am I close? All right, come on up, Father. From the St. James L.S. Roman Catholic Church, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance, number 4, which will be led by Councilman Rabb. Please remain standing for that one.
Let us put ourselves in the presence of God. Almighty and loving Father, thank you for every seat that has been filled here today, for each mind and heart that feels the presence of this room. We thank you. Only you truly know what we are setting out to accomplish today. We have an idea, a vision, hence, and daily instructions. We have talents, abilities, and time to work. However, only you can see in perfect detail the end of every beginning, every project, every season, every life. Nothing is ever in vain, for even mistakes and missteps are used for good. Your righteousness transcends all our efforts and understanding. Forgive us for our pride, the pride that puffs us up, and the pride that threatens to unqualify us. Strengthen our confidence in who you have made us to be. Set us free from comparison in order to work together efficiently. Bless this meeting today, all those present, as well as the lives of those we will encounter afterward. Ready us to make every moment count. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me as we salute our nation's great flag. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Father. Item 5 is a report on closed session items. Mr. Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor. The council met in closed session to discuss the one item on the agenda, and there was no reportable action taken.
Thank you. Item 6 is our presentations. We'll be having 2 presentations this evening. We're going to give the presentation from the dais for both A and B, and then at the conclusion of B, the mayor and the council will all step down, so we do our photo shoot and issuance of plaques and what have you. So 6A is our introduction of new employees. This will be introduced by our city manager, Mr. Bermudez.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you. We do have 3 new city employees, and we also want to introduce the city's new police chief this evening. So I'll start off introducing the first employee, and that is our new finance director, Ernie Reyna. Mr. Reyna has been with the city a few weeks now. I think he was here at the last meeting, so you had a chance to meet him informally. A lot of you know him because he was a finance director for WCOG for numerous years. He started his career in the gaming industry, working for casino, moved into WRCOG, and then was the finance director with Eastvale. And so he comes with us with a vast experience in the financial world. Went to school locally, UCR graduate, and has a wife and two boys who love Star Trek. They love the Dodgers and they love the Lakers, so pretty good combination there. So, Mr. Reyna, will you please come up and say a few words on behalf?
Thank you for that introduction. Yes, as Richard mentioned, I come to you previously from the city of Eastville, where I spent about a year and a half there. Loved working there. It was just a longer commute than I wanted to do. So I had an opportunity to come here and work for this wonderful city that's not too far from home. And I felt that the way of life would be a lot better working here. And so far, it's proven to be correct. And I know so far, so good. Everything's working great. So I'm about 5 weeks in here. So I wanted to say thank you for allowing me the opportunity to serve you. And I look forward to working with you for many years to come. So thank you.
Thank you. And Planning Manager Fung will introduce the next individual.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm here to introduce Alfredo Garcia, who's a recent hire as an associate planner for the City of Perris. Alfredo is a graduate of Cal Poly Pomona with a Bachelor of Science in Urban and Regional Planning. Quite a few of us have graduated from Cal Poly Pomona, so we appreciate more graduates from that school. He started his career as a planning technician for the City of Canyon Lake. Eventually, he became assistant planner with the City of Wodomar in 2010. He was promoted to associate planner for the city in 2017, but he did apply for a lateral move to the City of Perris because there was a greater opportunity to work on a variety of projects, commercial and other things of that nature. So it expanded hopefully it's expanding his expertise in the city, in the area of planning. He's continued his professional growth by joining the American Planning Association to learn the best practices of planning. On a personal note, he loves traveling. He's gone to Iceland, he's gone to Paris, he's gone to Utah. Most of the places he's gone to, he's enjoyed kind of the outdoors, just exploring mountain areas and just hiking. As for interests, he's kind of a Renaissance man. He's has some little expertise in wood making. He's kind of learned that skill set. He's learned to build a barn door and some cabinets, and because he's so good at it, as a result of it, he has a lot of family members who's asked him to do those projects for him. He's kind of begrudgingly doing it because he just kind of wants to work on his own projects. So, but he's also interested in photography. As for his family life, he has 2 kids, Max, who's 6, and a daughter who's Stella, who's 7. He's currently a single dad, so he's single and kind of ready to mingle. You can find his profile on eHarmony, just kidding. At this time, I'd like to introduce Alfredo Garcia, just to introduce himself real quickly.
He will never live that down.
Thank you, Ken, for that introduction. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be your associate planner with the City of Perris. I look forward to working with Director Fong in the planning department as well as other city staff. I look forward to new challenges and this great opportunity in serving the great community of Perris. Thank you.
How much did you pay your boss for that eHarmony plug?
eHarmony is provided to you by.
Welcome.
And as I indicated earlier, Mr. Mayor, aside from the city employees, we do have assigned a new police chief, and our outgoing police chief, Captain Fellows, will be introducing him. Chief Fellows.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City staff, and residents. It's my pleasure to introduce Matt Sims as your new captain and commander of the Perris Station. Part of his responsibilities will be serving as the functional chief of police for the city of Perris. He's a 21-year veteran of law enforcement, and since joining the Sheriff's Department, he's worked at the Perris Station, Moreno Valley Station, Jurupa Valley Station, in various capacities. His ranks have included deputy, corporal, investigator, sergeant, lieutenant, and now captain. He's no stranger to the city of Perris. Early on, he was assigned to help manage the City of Perris contract. In addition, he worked patrol assignments here at the Perris Station as well. As a lieutenant, he was assigned as the functional assistant chief of police for Canyon Lake as well. In addition to all those duties, he also managed the Perris Station Detective Bureau and Special Enforcement teams. He was also a member of Perris Rotary. Additionally, over his career, His duties included assignments in patrol operations, field training, investigating crimes against property and people, school resource officer, and corrections division operation. He also taught the law enforcement management training course at the Ben Clark Training Center for several years. Matt also has 4 professional certificates from the Peace Officer Standards and Training. He possesses a basic, intermediate, advanced, and management post certificates. He's well prepared for his new assignment as your chief and looks forward to continuing the tradition of one team, one mission philosophy. Again, it's my pleasure to introduce your new captain and police chief, Matt Sims.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and members of staff. First, I'd like to thank Captain Fellows for that introduction, and I'd also like to congratulate him on his upcoming retirement. He leaves us next Wednesday as his last day. I got some big shoes to fill. So like he said, I do have a big history here at Perris. About 20 years ago, I was assigned here as a brand new deputy. I was full of ambition, but I really didn't know what I was doing, and I was brand new. So I worked here for a few years, and I was transferred out for about 10 years. About 18 months ago, I found out I was getting transferred back as a lieutenant, and I really had a feeling, that I was coming home. It was awesome to get a transfer back here. And now to be promoted within and be able to serve here as the chief of police is a dream come true. The relationship with the city of Perris has always been good. We've always been very, very supportive of the sheriff's department. I'm very excited to be working with you guys. Rest assured, I'll always be accessible and responsive to your needs. Again, thank you, and I appreciate it. This is an honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I apologize. We need to go back when Director Reyna was getting introduced, one of the new hires in finance. So
Okay.
go back to Director Reyna.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. There is one employee. There is one employee I would like to introduce. She's currently within the department now, and she's been with the city since March of 2014. She was first hired on as an accounting specialist, handling mostly front counter duties. And from there, she transitioned to the accounting specialist 2 position, where she's overseeing the duties of accounts receivable, including the verification of deposits from dispensaries, and all, as well as other checks and deposits from coming into the city as well. And so officially this past Monday, Liz Curiel took over the position from Tammy, who's now leaving us the payroll position. So a pretty important position itself. She's going to take over as a senior accounting specialist, conducting our payroll for the employees as well as the council and the commissioners. So with that, I wanted to introduce to you Liz Curiel, our newest senior accounting specialist. So Liz, come on up.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council and City Management staff. I do just want to extend my gratitude and thankfulness for the opportunity to continue my journey with the city. It's been nothing short of a blessing to be able to be a part of such a great team and such a great family, basically, here at the city is what it feels like. And I'm just honored to be able to continue my growth and knowledge here with the city, and I look forward to being able to provide you guys with exceptional customer service. And if you guys should ever need anything, I am now where Tammy's old desk is, and if you ever need anything, my cubicle is always open. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
And so your boss put it kind of lightly when he said payroll services. That's huge, very important. We'll exchange phone numbers at the end of the meeting. Okay, that's it, Mr.
That
Bermudez?
concludes our new hires, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, item 6B is recognition of City of Perris retirees, and this will be introduced by City Manager Mr. Bermudez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have 3 retirees that we're going to acknowledge this evening. And to start off, the first one of the ones you've already heard a couple times, Ms. Bianca will be the new director, Ernie Reyna, Mr. Reyna. And Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we do have some plaques and certain recognition items, we'll wait till the end when you go down and you can present
Right.
them directly.
Well, hello again for the third time. So now I have the pleasure of introducing someone who's going to be retiring with the city. This is Tammy Bianco. Tammy's been with the city of Perris since March of 2006. She was originally brought on as administrative clerk, and shortly thereafter became the administrative assistant to the then finance director, Ron Carr. After that, she then became the administrative assistant to the assistant city manager, and finally made the transition to the position she's currently in right now, the senior accounting specialist or payroll specialist, if you will, in October of 2012, where she's currently been serving in that position. Some fun facts about Tammy include the fact that she used to be a ballerina, if you didn't know that, and she still loves to dance. Tammy also loves to paint, especially abstract, that being her favorite part. Tammy has also obtained her bachelor's degree in communications/technology. And once she's retired, Tammy would love to travel with her husband, and she looks very much forward to that. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce and bring on board Tammy Bianco. So, Tammy.
Honorable Mayor, council members, City Manager Richard Belmutis, I just want to thank you so very much for this incredible opportunity to work for the city. I have said this before and I'll say it again, I'm just so grateful. There's just no other word for it. To be able to retire, to be able to have these fond memories of my coworkers, and to have an exceptional working experience has been incredible. But, you know, we don't do any of this stuff alone, do we? So a couple of people have really helped me a lot is former Assistant City Manager Ron Carr, who's with us tonight, and his beautiful wife. Yes, please. Who I consider a great friend, a mentor, and was an exceptional boss. I also want to thank Adrian Morales, who's been with me almost since the beginning and has this incredible knowledge and institutional knowledge of our office and has helped me so much in my position. So I want to thank Adrian. Thank you so much, Adrian. And not the least of them is Lisbeth Curiel, who has really cross-trained and done her absolute best over the last 2 years to learn my position. I leave you in incredible hands. She's going to do a fabulous job. I want to thank our new Director of Finance, Ernie. Thank you for coming in with such a great and positive attitude and incredible leadership. And I feel like I'm leaving and retiring on such a great positive note with your leadership. But I also want to say a special thank you to the mayor. Thank you so much for taking a personal interest in my retirement and giving me some last-minute tidbits of advice. It really meant a lot to me. I want to also thank Rita Rogers for her many years of service here and just how respectful and kind she has been to me over the years. With that, I let you go, and thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, the next individual is someone you all know, is our Public Works Director, Daryl Hartwell. And like Ms. Bianco, Daryl was hired by Ron Carr in 2007, so it's only fitting that Mr. Carr be here with us tonight. Daryl started off as a Public Works Supervisor, moved on to Manager, and then moved on to Public Works Director. So we're very excited for Daryl to reach this milestone. He really is looking forward to spend time with both his grandkids as well as his dad, and he wants to make some memories with both. He also claims he's going to play some golf. I've heard different stories about how good a golfer he really is, but hopefully with some practice he'll be able to improve that. I think you of all individuals know how critical Daryl has been in the last several years in dealing with the growth of the city. We've had a tremendous amount of growth since Daryl's been on board, and if you recall back a decade ago, we had potholes and street issues. Almost every council meeting we used to have a complaint, several complaints. So he's built a tremendous department, and we're A little sad to see him leave, but excited that he's moving on to this next step in his career. So, Mr. Hartwell.
I had to write. You guys know I'm kind of shy. I don't like to talk a lot.
5 minutes.
So first of all, let me just express my gratitude to all the members of council. It's been a fun 12 years. Rita's been here since I got here, and then all the rest of you, and it's been a wonderful journey. Having breakfast with the mayor this morning, I would rather him have paid the ticket, but I paid it. It's okay though. You know what? What you guys don't know is that the mayor's 40th wedding anniversary is today. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Good. I want to give a special thanks to our city manager, Richard Belmudez. Richard had just become the city manager when I came on board, and he's always been real supportive of the staff, of myself. And that means a lot to know you have a leader, a city leader who's going to listen. And so special thanks to Mr. Belmudez there. I also want to thank city staff, Assistant City Manager Clara Miramontes and Isabel Carlos, as well as Sabrina Chavez, Saida Moscar. Ernie, I know you're new, but welcome aboard. As well, I want to thank Art Cervantes and IT. These people have made my job much easier. And so when you have a network of people that you can go to at any time to help you face the challenges and get things done, it really does make a difference. And even our city attorney, Mr. Dunn, he likes giving us stories about law that might help us, but I prefer to listen to his character stories like he's in today. That's why he has that beard, and he has a lot of things off-site that he does. So thank you, Mr. Dunn. Appreciate that. I want to express thanks to my first boss, Mr. Carr. Many of you know Mr. Carr and his attributes to the city. He helped hold the city together from some difficult times. And so I'd like Mr. Carr to stand up. He was a mentor to me. He helped keep me focused and on task, and that was really important as we went through some tough times. I want to thank Mr. Madkin, who was here for many years as well, helped build some of the parks and structures here in the city, as well as our previous city engineer, Mr. Habib Motlog, who shared his knowledge and experience with me. I can't help but thank the public works staff over the past 12 years. We've done a lot, and I'm very happy to see the city going in the direction it is and how happy the people are and the growth of the city. But there are some I want to mention by name: Linda Guthrie, Ignacio Alvarez, Arturo Garcia, Lisette Hernandez, Stacy Dane, Michael Morales, and Yvonne Sims, all in different departments, but they've helped me along the way. I want to thank as well, we can't do it all by ourselves, so there's some longtime vendors that are often overlooked that were here before me, and we use them. They help us keep our city beautiful. And so that's Greer's Concrete, Anderson Electric, Pre-Brought Construction, Bill and Dave's Landscaping, Mr. G's, the list goes on. And so all of those are part of the ones that helped us get to where we're at. And finally, I want to think about this word retire. I've been doing this for 30 years, so I was first introduced to this word retire when I was 8 years old. And my dad, after 20 years of active duty in the military, he retired. I had no idea what that was. But there he was, you know. Then he went and got another job, and he went and worked for the city of San Bernardino County, and he retired 13 years later. I was about 22 at the time, 21. And there he was, not working. And so I kind of thought, well, how does that work? You're so young. And then my mom retired after. So they set excellent examples for me. Both my mother and father retired very young. And so I set a goal to retire early. And that's what I'm doing. Couldn't beat my dad. He was 51, he retired. I'm 53. And so I'll continue to work. My father has been retired for 33 years, and he's here tonight. So I'd like to acknowledge him.
Where are you, Pops? Have him stand up. Stand up, Pops. Oh, there he is.
"33 years of 40-something years of receiving a check from the government. 33 years receiving a check from the county. So, and he drove himself here. He lives by himself. My mother passed away, and so I look forward to spend time with him.
Nice.
Finally, I'd like to thank my wife, Sarah. For health reasons, she couldn't be here tonight. She's got a bad cold. But she's been with me the journey, the whole way. This is my 5th city in 30 years. And so I feel like I've left a part of me at each city, more so here in Perris. And as I look back, it's been a wonderful 30 years, leaving just little bits and pieces of myself. And hopefully the new director and the department will continue to grow. I have kids, my grown daughters. I have 2 beautiful granddaughters, 8 and 5, and I look forward to having a major role in their lives. So many accomplishments, but I wish I could take credit for them. It's really about the people that you surround yourself with to make it all things happen. So thanks to you. Thanks, City of Perris.
So, Mayor and Council, finally, we want to acknowledge our outgoing police chief tonight, Captain Greg Fellows. Captain Fellows has been assigned as the Perris Police Chief since 2017. I think the mayor and I think it was the Mayor Pro Tem earlier in the year when we met the new sheriff for the first time, he committed to keeping Captain Fellows in Perris until he retired. We didn't know he was going to retire the very same year, but we were happy to hear the news at the time that Captain Fellows was going to be here. Note on that, he also committed to promoting people from within, and the mayor and I met with the sheriff a week ago, and he assured us that he was going to appoint Lieutenant Sims then, and he obliged by both accounts. So kudos to Sheriff on that. So I've had the privilege of working with several chiefs over my tenure, and by far Chief Fellows has met or exceeded every one of the other of his predecessors. We've had some, unfortunately, most of the time when we have exchanges, it's under circumstances that aren't ideal. I do recall one of our shining moments with the mayor and Captain Fellows was after the Chirpin incident when we had a press conference with probably 200 members of the media flashing the camera at us, and we had immense amount of scrutiny. But Captain Fellows, in his perfect voice, stood at the podium and took all the questions. So as with Daryl, we're very sad to see him leave on a personal note, but we're happy that he's moving on to the next stage of his career. So Captain Fellows.
Well, good evening again, everyone. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the other retirees. Congratulations on that major accomplishment. It's amazing how fast 30 years can go by. But I would like to obviously thank the City Council, the city staff. Richard, I've learned a lot from you, and I think it's going to be very valuable advice and guidance in the future for me at some point. I don't know how long I'll be able to stay away from work, but we'll certainly see. I'd also like to thank the City of Perris residents. The residents, the City Council have been nothing but supportive to the Riverside County Sheriff's Department and all of its men and women that drive around. As I've said many times, our deputies don't just work in the City of Perris, they live in the City of Perris. So many of the things, most of the things that are important to our residents are also important to many of us personally. So again, I'd also like to give a shout out to my lieutenants. I have 2 of them here tonight, as you probably have seen. Lieutenant Mike Protillo has done an outstanding job for us within the last year or so, and Matt Sims, of course. So again, it's all about that all-star team I've talked about since my first assignment here at the Perris Station in 2015, and I think that we all played our positions very well. And again, thank you so much for the support, supporting our decisions, supporting our suggestions, and I'm going to miss the City of Perris greatly. So thank you very much.
So, Mr. Mayor, that concludes our presentations this evening. Perhaps the council may want to go down and take pictures first with the new hires and then subsequent for the retirees. And I believe we have some plaques and an eagle for those individuals, as well as a special gift from the
Yeah,
Public Works Department.
we'll stay in order of the agenda. Okay, all our new people are up. This will just be for a photo op right now. Are my eyebrows okay? Okay, so now for our retirees, we're going to first bring up Tammy Bianco. Okay, Daryl Hartwell. All right, Chief, come on up. Turn it off. Okay, any comments from council before we move on? Okay, Councilman Arab?
Just like to welcome all the new hires on board. City of Paris is an exciting city. Welcome to work with you. Want to congratulate all the retirees on their respective retirements. Ms. Bianco, Mr. Hartwell, who's always been available for any kind of concerns I've had, and Captain Fellows. Captain Fellows is retiring, and his daughter Tiffany Fellows is starting as a DA in San Bernardino County, and one of my coworkers. So they're keeping that law enforcement line going. So it's been a great experience working each and every one of you, and want to wish you well on your retirement. You guys are all relatively young, so keep it going and stay active. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes, it's been a pleasure working with all the retirees, Tammy and Daryl and Greg. And I wish you well on your journey. Don't forget the city of Paris. You can always come back and visit us. But retirement is a blessing. It gives you freedom to do whatever you want. You don't have to set the alarm clock in the morning. You could sleep in and get up whenever you feel like it. So enjoy your lives and be blessed, each one of you. To our new hirees, I look forward to working with you and welcome you to the city of Paris. God bless you all. Thank you.
Okay, I too want to congratulate all the new hirees. Just for picking Paris as a place to continue your future, your professional career. I want to give a special thank you to all those retirees that are going to be enjoying their lives with their family and friends and with their father. Tammy, I want to thank you for being involved with the finances. You know, as City of Paris has great finances, and I'm sure you were a part of that. To Chief Fellows, you've been with our city through some trying times, and you know, as our city manager mentioned, you did a great job in handling a very difficult situation in our city. To Daryl, thank you so much for working hard, for being a leader for our largest department, our Public Works Department, and for working to continue to keep our city clean and moving along. Every time I call you up and if there's a situation, big or small, it's I can always count on it being taken care of. So thank you all so much. Thank you.
Okay, Elizabeth, remember, we got to share phone numbers. Payroll is a very important, critical component of your job. Ernie, you're a Dodger fan, so you're a keeper, buddy. Appreciate that. Alfredo, I'm retired too, supposedly. Where'd Alfredo go? He take off already? He's outside? Drag him in here, because this is important now. All right, I'll skip him then for now. Police Chief. Captain Sims, you're going to have some tough phone calls. I'm going to try you out about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So we appreciate you. Welcome aboard, sir. Tammy, she snuck out on us. Daryl, I retired at 51, buddy, so I beat you too. But you have a key to the city, a new one now, so we need to go out to continue our breakfasts and keep that camaraderie going on, buddy. And Chief Fellows, it was a great time working with you. I have to reiterate that story with the Turpin issues. Me retired 30 years in law enforcement as well. I've never been in front of such a large mass of media network and news reporters, and I'll admit I was nervous. I think the largest one I've ever done in my career was probably maybe just the local channels. But the chief, this man, if you heard him speak now, he's our spokes voice for the radio. I mean, this guy's got such a perfect broadcast radio voice. But, I know how to read people, and when it was his turn to speak before I spoke, I believe, whichever doesn't matter. I mean, I watched his move. The man did not quiver. I mean, he spoke brilliantly during that press conference, and I don't like bringing back negative issues that we've had, but I mean, I just to reiterate what Councilman Corona said, but you know, your characteristics that you have and your ability and your skills that you brought to the station and to this city, it was well welcomed, and we're going to miss you. But I am available to travel as well since I am retired, and I know that's what you're going to do. So you've got my cell phone. I'm not going to change it. I hope you don't change yours. I gave you the new key, so there should be no problem here with traveling. All right. Okay, so we're going to move on now to item 7, approval of minutes. 7A is a consideration to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on November 12th, 2019 of the City Council and all the entities as listed on our agenda. If there's no comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve. And we have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Mayor Pro Tem. Please call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Item A is our consent calendar. Consent calendar are items normally enacted in one motion. The mayor or city council may remove a consent calendar item for a separate action. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Council, anybody have anything they want to pull?
Yes. I will be pulling item G.
Anybody else? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar. Pardon me? Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on this?
No, we don't, sir.
Okay, does anybody have anything at this time want to speak on public comment? Okay. Pardon me? Anything on the items on consent calendar? We're pulling item G out. Okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve all of 8 except for item G. A motion by Mayor Pro Tem Magana, second by Councilman Rab. Call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Okay, item G, Councilman Corona.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to bring up this item because I do feel there may be some residents that want to speak on this, so I don't want them to stick around for the entirety of the meeting. If they could just get their voices out. And I was contacted by several residents with their concerns about it. It seems like on social media, you know, some people are kind of just you know, throwing out things here and there. So I do want to make the public aware of this specific thing that we are currently voting on. It's to award the contract for the project of the bridge widening on Nuevo Road. You know, it's definitely gonna be a headache for many residents. I'm well aware of that, as was Ethanek. You know, it was a headache for me. I do live in the south of Perris. It was a headache, but nobody's complaining now. Perris Boulevard, right here, it was big headache for years, for a long time. But you know, obviously it got done, and you know, not too many issues with it. But I do have a couple concerns that residents did bring up. I told them that I would bring it up. Is there anybody that could, engineering? Is that you? Okay, thank you. Just question, when is the actual estimated date for construction?
The mandatory start of construction is January 6th, and the contractor has 300 calendar days to complete the project. We have every faith that he can complete the job within 300 calendar days, which is November 4th, I think, of before the rainy season. Also, if he has trouble because of weather or issues like that, he can work double shifts on weekdays and also work on Saturday with the city's permission.
So the project is gonna terminate in less than a year estimated?
That's correct.
Okay, so it's not gonna take a year. Now, when will Nuevo Road Bridge actually close? Will that close on January 6th?
It could very well close on January 6th. It's part of the contractor's means and methods. It's what works best for him. He's going to have to set up the detour and stuff like that first.
Okay. And then the most important question I've been asked, why are we closing the entire bridge completely instead of other bridges that we've seen along the freeways and stuff, doing one side and then finishing off the other side?
This was a decision made some years ago, but the idea is that it's much cheaper to do it this way, demo the bridge all at once and build the new wider bridge. It's both cheaper and it will have the shortest time period of the construction.
Okay. And what are we doing as a city to mitigate the traffic, the inevitable traffic that will occur?
We have detour plans that are part of the bid package, and then there's many benefits. We went out to I personally and my staff went out to a MAC meeting, a municipal advisory committee out in Lakeview, and listened to citizens' comments out there about the traffic. They were very concerned about that, and so we came back and we've been working with the county all along for the past few months about how to handle the traffic issues. So we're going to have detours, and then there's going to be benefits, long-term benefits, because of these detours to the residents of both Perris and Lakeview, in that we've repaved Dunlap from Nuevo Road down to San Jacinto Avenue. The council just approved a change order to pave San Jacinto Avenue from Dunlap all the way to Wilson. And then there's also, we're in the works right now is we're going to alter or reconfigure the traffic signal at Redlands and San Jacinto Avenue, which is, right now it's a one left-hand turn and people back up forever waiting for that left-hand turn. We're going to reconfigure it, have two left-hand turns so that if more traffic comes onto San Jacinto, they'll be able to turn and get on the freeway at Redlands easier. So those are long-term benefits that are coming that we've worked with the county on. We've worked with the county on some short-term benefits, which would be a traffic signal, a temporary traffic signal, which is part of the construction contract at San Jacinto and Dunlap. That's right at the border with the county, and the county is going to cost share with the city on that signal, which will help people who want to turn left onto Dunlap. And the other issue that we are working with the county on is to alter the timing of the traffic signal for another detour route up at Orange Street and Evans. We have a detour that goes to the north and a detour that goes to the south. The north detour, we're going to make sure that the left-hand turns are the people going north on Evans won't be able to make left-hand turns. So that's another short-term benefit that will happen. And also we've been working with emergency responders to make sure that there are no impacts. The word we've gotten back from AMR, who runs the ambulance, is that there are no impacts, at least for the detours themselves. And so that's where we are right now, as far as what we're doing to mitigate the impacts to the traffic.
Okay. So now, two more questions. Now, I know you stated that we worked with the county. Did we work with county transportation, or what specific entities did we work with?
We worked with county transportation both at staff level, Dennis Cunha, and then also with their director, and then also Juan Perez, who's with the executive office and working with this. We had the members of the supervisor staff there, invited us out to the MAC meeting. We've worked with all county staff, also the emergency responders, fire, and sheriff.
Okay. Okay. Now, but the actual planning, we didn't work with county transportation. Is that correct? Like the actual design and planning of the actual bridge?
That was before I got here.
Okay,
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
Councilmember Corona, that's accurate. Okay. The facility is located entirely in the city of Perris, so it was done by engineering staff. We did consult with the council. We did at the time make a determination whether we wanted to go the route of having two separate bridges, which would have been, probably 50%, if not 100% the time. We made the conscious effort to close it down, but get it done within the year and get it completed. And in that regard, we did it as our own entity. We did not consult. We've been working with the county since, I believe, last October, when they expressed some concerns about the traffic impacts in Nuevo. And as a result of that working, it's where most of the agreed upon mitigation has come to fruition.
Okay, understood. So I do want to clarify. Oftentimes we're asked on certain questions, and so I definitely tried to answer them the best I could. And I think I did mention that we worked, some of the designing and stuff went through county transportation, but the project is entirely in Perris, so it doesn't make sense that we were working with them. So if there's any confusion on there, I do apologize on that part. The last question is, in your professional estimate as an engineer, how much longer would it take if we did parts of the bridge as opposed to just tearing it down and doing it in 10 months?
It would take much longer. That much I could tell you. I couldn't tell you the exact time. It's
Twice as long, do you know?
could be
Okay. But much longer.
much longer and much more expensive.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Traffic control is a very expensive bid item.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much. And I definitely look forward to hearing any concerns or questions from residents.
Okay, won't be questions, just comments. Okay, any other clarifications before I open up public comment?
I have a general comment. Just two quick comments. If we could reach out to the various school districts, I know we've reached out to Val Verde because Orange Vista's in the way, in the area. If we could also reach out to the New View School District. I talked to a resident who lives in Perris and works in New View. They'd like to be contacted. There are a lot of students that come from Perris and go to the New View Bridge Academy. They can just be made aware. I believe January 6th, a lot of the kids will be coming back from winter vacation, Christmas vacation, and it might just compound the stress of having to come back to school. And if we can also reach out to the Perris Elementary School District, because we have Clearwater and Skyview, which are right in the area, and some of the residents on the other side who live off by St. James area might be coming into there. And if we can make one final contact to the parishioners at St. James and the leaders at St. James, just letting them know of this closure. I know there's approximately 1,500, 2,000 people going in and out, up and down Dunlap. And one last thing, if we can also look into installing a temporary signal. I know we're installing a temporary signal at Dunlap and San Jacinto, and we're repaving portions of San Jacinto. We could look at the feasibility of installing a temporary signal at San Jacinto and Murrieta, or at the bare minimum, putting a left-hand turn lane on each side, going east and west on San Jacinto, heading off to Murrieta to divert some of that traffic and allow the people to make that turn down Murrieta. But overall, I do believe that we've studied this issue. We've discussed it at length in a few years regarding whether or not we should close it at once or close it incrementally, and I think it was determined to decide to close it at once. But overall, I'd like to thank staff for reaching out to the residents in Nuevo, and look forward to hearing all what the residents have to say regarding this closure.
Oh, and just keep in mind, too, there's still going to be a Q&A, a meeting set up for...
It's on Monday, the 16th. It's at 6 o'clock here in council chambers.
6 o'clock p.m. here, so the residents are welcome. And that can be more of a conversation, where today is just mainly comments. Okay, so at this time, we're going to open up public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Is there anybody at this time wishing to make a comment on this specific item only? Please come up to the, hold on, come up to the microphone.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, I represent St. James, Celeste, and the weekend, you're going to be a devastation if you close the Nuevo Bridge, because we're looking at about 6,000 people that come to our church on the weekend. You got 5,000 alone come on Sunday, so if you close that bridge, most of the people that come to St. James live on this side of St. James. So by closing that bridge, it's going to be a devastation for our church and the members to get to our church, mostly on the weekends. So if you can consider building that bridge part by part, it will be much better than close the old road, especially Nuevo and San Jacinto. If we close both of them, working on both of them at the same time, it will be like closing our church. And it's about, as I said, about 6,000 people that come to our church on a weekend, every day, every weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on up, sir. Can you please state your name?
Good evening. My name is Marshall Locke. I'm a resident of the Nuevo Lakeview area, private citizen, not representing anybody but my community and myself. Mr. Mayor, council members, and leadership staff of the City of Perris, good evening and season's greetings to everybody. It's good to be here. I have some prepared comments I'd like to share with you at this moment. I'm your neighbor who lives in the Nuevo Lakeview community. I've lived in the Nuevo Lakeview community since 1966. I'm a graduate of Perris High School, class of 78, so I'm dating myself. Growing up, I attended worship at First Congregational Church on 100 North A Street. My parents shopped at Kirkpatrick's Market and Michael's Market here in Perris. In my teen years, my friends and I would hang out at the Tasty Freeze or get some tasty Mexican cuisine at the Taquito House. The guacamole tostadas are to die for. In my young adult married years, I and many of our mutual neighbors played softball together at Metz Park. I'm happy to say that many of my dear friends grew up in and call the city of Perris their home. Today, I drive along D Street and see the improvements made. I see the commercial development in the city limits, and I see a bustling, growing, flourishing community. I see the pride and the leadership for which I offer my sincere congratulations to you. The city of Perris is where many in the Nuevo Lakeview community go to get our groceries, dine out, attend church, go to school, buy or get our cars serviced and repaired, and engage in countless other kinds of business and commerce. I want to talk to you this evening about a matter of mutual concern, which has already been brought up somewhat. The project to improve Nuevo Road. Your neighbors in the Nuevo Lakeview community celebrate the flourishing of the city of Perris. Your flourishing is to a large degree our flourishing. According to the city engineer, we understand a 9-month closure of Nuevo Road has been proposed to complete improvements and replace a bridge over a county flood control channel. According to the latest traffic data from the Riverside County Transportation Department, 18,269 vehicles travel between the Nuevo Lakeview area and the city of Perris on a daily basis. It's a lot. The concerns center on the proposed duration of the Nuevo Road closure and what negative impacts it may or will have on Nuevo Lakeview residents and on our valued neighbors, schools, churches, and businesses in the city of Perris, including, but not limited to, quality of life and public safety matters, such as increased traffic in residential areas and church and school zones, increased vehicle emissions, increased response time for emergency and law enforcement, and a loss of business and commerce. This would be especially true if traffic is diverted to San Isidro. Your neighbors in the Nuevo Lakeview community desire to work closely with the city of Perris to mitigate to the extent possible the negative or unintended outcomes and consequences that would arise from a lengthy closure of Nuevo Road.
Mr. Locke, your time's up. I need you to wrap this up, sir.
Thank you. At this time, if you have any questions or if you'd like to meet with me at a time and a place of your convenience, I'm available. May I give you some of my business cards?
Sure, you can hand them over to the person in the corner there. Thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to speak on this specific matter?
Hello, my name is Penny Ahmed. I'm the co-owner of Nuevo Road Animal Hospital, and I'm also a member of the New View Romoland MAC. I appreciate that Mr. McKibben came to our meeting. I think our business, more than anybody else in this room, will be the most impacted because the traffic is coming right to my front door. And what I would like to ask you to consider is possibly a liaison that we could talk to directly when the inevitable problems come up, so that things could be mitigated in a quicker manner and not a lengthy manner. And that's my only comment today.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to close public comment. And I'll go back to council. Anybody wants to speak? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for a motion. A motion by Councilman Corona, second by Councilman Rabb. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. Okay, item 9 is our public hearings. Public hearings are encouraged to express your views on any matter set for public hearing. We will open a public comment speaking for 3 minutes each per person. 9A is a consideration to approve a location agreement with Home Depot USA. This will be introduced by Assistant City Manager Miramontes.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'd like to introduce Ms. Michelle Ogawa, Manager of Economic Development and Housing. She will be presenting this item tonight.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'm going to go through the details of a location agreement between the City of Perris and Home Depot. So Home Depot currently has 2 existing distribution center facilities in the City of Perris, one on Markham and one on Redlands Avenue, both of which are covered under an existing location agreement, which I'll get into in a minute. And there are conversations at this point. They've signed a letter of intent for the expansion of the Markham facility, as well as they're also conducting site selection procedures for a new location here in the City of Perris. And under the existing location agreement, the terms are such that it was executed in 2013 with a term of 10 years, so set to expire in 2023. And the terms of the sales tax sharing component are such that the baseline of $125,000 collected in sales tax revenue quarterly would come to the city. Anything beyond that would be shared, with 75% going back to Home Depot and 25% being retained here at the city. And then under the proposed agreement, it would be a 50-50 split. So we would even that out, remove the baseline, and it would just be an even 50% going back to Home Depot. And the term for that agreement would be 10 years from the occupancy date of the Markham expansion. And there's an option for an extension of an additional 10 years from the Markham expansion occupancy date, should they locate the new location here within our city limits. And for reference, here are some of the sales tax figures from 2018. They brought in just under $1.5 million in sales tax revenue over the course of the year, with the city share of that being $746,843 and Home Depot's share being $740,341. And their projections from now until 2023 with the Markham facility expansion and collectively the new potential location within city limits is $2.5 million within that time to 2023. The agreement also does include the employment outreach for local residents and would effectively incentivize the location, the expansion and new location here in the city, and expand their sales generating function here. So the staff recommendation is to approve the location agreement between the City of Perris and Home Depot USA, authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the location agreement and all related actions and documents. And we also have a representative here from Home Depot to take any questions.
Very good, thank you. Council, any comments or questions? Please queue in. I don't see nobody in the queue. Does the applicant wish to say anything to the council?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Ian Phelps. I'm the General Manager of the Perris Home Depot Distribution Campus. I've been here in Perris for 2 years and with the company for 23. You may or may not know, but the company has not only expanded physically and is looking to do that as well, but we do employ upwards of 700 people here in Perris, the majority of them locally from Moreno Valley and Perris, and look forward to being able to do that, not just with the expansion of the Markham Street building, but potentially with the addition of a new platform as well over the next several years. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Do we know how many square feet the proposed new location will be? Sorry, I'll repeat the question. Do we know how many square feet the proposed new location will be?
I don't know specifically. I know they average around 800,000 square feet. We have got one that has just been approved up in Tracy, California, and that's its proposed size, and we would be similar as well.
Okay, and do you know where in the city of Perris or is that still too far out to identify where you place this new location?
What I found out this evening was that there are some locations, but some require some physical updating or changes to be made. So I don't know the specific location myself, so no.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Anybody else? Thank you, Ian.
All right, thank you.
Okay, if there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers. second-
Mayor, this actually was a public hearing. Under the government code, it had
yes.
to be a public hearing.
I'm rushing. Okay, at this time, we're going to open up public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Is there anybody at this time in the audience wishing to speak on this particular matter? Okay, we will close public comment. And I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers. I thought, second by Councilman Rab. Call the vote, please.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. Nine B is consideration to adopt the first reading of ordinance number next in order, a proposal to retitle Perris Municipal Code Chapter 5.06 regarding mobile food facilities and pedestrian food vendors, etc. And this will be introduced by Planning Manager Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor and member of the City Council. Per the direction of the Council, planning staff and the City Attorney's office drafted a comprehensive overhaul of the city's existing food trucks, operators ordinance, and sidewalk vendors ordinance in compliance with state law. In preparation for this ordinance, staff did conduct an outreach with the community on July of this year with TODEC, where there was representatives from the food truck operators and sidewalk vendors. TODEC is kind of a grassroots organization that kind of reaches out to migrants in Southern California. In addition, staff reached out to an advocate for the food truck industry in drafting this ordinance, and the ordinance kind of reflects those feedback. In terms of the summary of what's going on, the current peddler and solicitor ordinance has been kind of revamped. Pretty much we've added a new chapter 5.17 to regulate food truck operators, and we created a new chapter 5.18 to regulate sidewalk vendors. Just want to highlight some general requirements. As for the food truck operators, the main requirements, the general requirements is to maintain a business license with the city, to obtain a permit with the health department, and to prohibit them from operating between 7 a.m. and 2 a.m. This section is broken into two parts. There's the food trucks in the right-of-way and food trucks on private property. For food trucks in the right-of-way, they require food trucks to park directly adjacent to a paved sidewalk, and also require food trucks to operate in such a way that it does not impact a sight distance from an intersection or a driveway access point. For food trucks on private property, they're required to provide at least a minimum of 2 off-street parking to park their trucks. And as for on private property, they have to obtain permission from a property owner. In addition, they're not allowed to operate on a vacant lot due just to infrastructure issues in terms of providing proper lighting and fire hydrants for fire protection. For the sidewalk vendors, the general requirements, again, is to maintain a business license and to obtain a permit with the County Department of Health. This section is broken into 3 parts. There's the stationary sidewalk vendors, which means they're immobile. They just park at a location. In this particular case, they're prohibited from parking in an area that's exclusively residential. This is in accordance with state law. They're also prohibited from providing signs except for those identifying the product they're selling and the name of the vendor. For roaming sidewalk vendors, that's just those push carts. They're prohibited from soliciting businesses from those in vehicles, which is a safety issue. They're also prohibited from having some noise equipment to kind of attract businesses. It's just a nuisance. And then there's a third component, vending at a public park, which requires them to operate just within the park operation hours. There's some specific distance requirement. I just want to highlight one. They can't operate within 50 feet from each other. In conclusion, staff recommends that the City Council introduce a first reading of the ordinance next in order to retile, amend, and repeal various sections of municipal code, and to add Chapter 5.17 to regulate food truck operators and Chapter 5.18 to regulate sidewalk vendors. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer those for you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fung. Any comments or questions, Council?
I do have a question.
Councilman Corona?
I have a question specifically with ice cream truck vendors. Will this impact their ability to sell within the city of Perris?
Are you talking about the push cart, or you?
Ice cream trucks, push carts, elotes.
Ice cream truck, they can just roam, and that's typical. For ice cream truck vendors, they can push in I guess they can't push exclusively in a residential area. So in let's say, I just throw out a name of a community, just say Village of Avalon. So technically, they can't be pushing in exclusively residential area, but because we have a mixed-use zone in the downtown area, because it's mixed use, so they can push in the downtown area.
Okay. So as long as they're kind of mixing it up, is that?
Correct.
Like, say if I'm selling Rospados, I don't know, ice.
Shaved ice.
Shaved ice. Or corn. Elotes, corn. If I'm looking to do that, and I have a push car, I have a small car, how will this affect their ability to function in the city of Perris?
Yeah, they can do it anywhere in the commercial zone, industrial zone, just not exclusively residential zone for the push cart, but the food trucks can just travel around.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, I had a question.
Councilman Red?
Yes, thank you, Kenneth, for the presentation. When you label it exclusively residential, I live in downtown Perris, so there's a section right on the corner of 7th and Perris Boulevard, an empty lot where a guy is selling some food. Is that exclusively residential? Or you said downtown is kind of mixed use?
Yeah, there are some pockets that they call suburban, so it would be exclusively residential. But you can ask staff if you wish to allow that in that particular area. We could just put in the downtown specific plan. So it's just a direction the council wants to give staff.
In terms of the state law, if we said if the primary use is residential versus exclusively residential, for instance, we have houses right here on 3rd and 2nd Street between D and Perris Boulevard that primarily residential but not exclusively because you have a little bit of commercial use.
Yeah. So
Or does the state law prohibit us from just saying primarily residential?
Yeah, so the state law gives the city discretion to prohibit exclusively in a residential area. But in the downtown, there's kind of a myriad of different zoning and there's layers of zoning. So I have to kind of look back at certain sections. I know that exclusive suburban area only allows residential. So all the others like Promenade, Urban Village, those would be allowed to do it.
Okay. Just one concern. If we are allowed via Senate Bill 946 to limit it to primarily residential, I think we should go with primarily. Exclusively entails an area that is, say for instance, Villages of Avalon. As a downtown resident, there's pockets that are mixed use, and I think we're limiting ourselves by saying exclusively residential versus primarily residential. So I think we are allowed via this state law, because just for the public's knowledge, the state law limited us from saying no street vending, no park vending. It opens it up. So I think if we are allowed via this law, we should look into the language. I think exclusively residential kind of straitjackets us. It stops us from enforcing the law. We should go with primarily or majority residential. So that would be my only concern.
So going back to your exemplar of Villages of Avalon, I can't push my little cart with ice cream, but an ice cream truck can drive around the neighborhood?
Correct. This is how it's currently constructed.
And this was based on feedback from the community?
We've sent it out. We've met with TODEC. We've sent out the ordinance to the food truck advocate. They didn't provide us any further feedback. They were, to our knowledge, they didn't provide any feedback from what we sent to them.
If I may, now the city can be less restrictive than the state if we wish to open it up to also residential areas. Primarily, vendors with push carts may have, they walk around, they have bells, or they may have, it's not a commercial area. So that's why it's intended to be only to be allowed in commercial areas, except semi-quasi-resident, mixed use are not primarily residential. Like in the downtown, there are mixed-use commercial and residential uses, except in those areas. But it's to maintain the character, the integrity of a residential neighborhood.
Well,
If I could break in, I think there's a little confusion here because I'm looking at the actual statute and there's the staff report. In an exclusively residential zone, you can prohibit stationary sidewalk vendors, but not roaming sidewalk vendors. So the roaming push cart vendors are allowed to go into zones that are zoned exclusively residential. You can prohibit and I think that's what the actual ordinance does. So what it does, it prohibits, the proposed ordinance in accordance with the state law prohibits stationary sidewalk vendors that are zoned exclusively residential, but it does not prohibit roaming sidewalk vendors. So push carts are okay.
okay, that's the confusion I got. And I have no problem with that.
And
really,
the law does say exclusively, so that's the word. So it's not really defined what that means, but.
I mean, basically, the only stationary ones that I actually see personally are the fruit people that sell fruit. They are stationed at the, pardon me? I can't hear you. Flowers?
Flowers, vendors.
Well, they're walking around in a corner, but they're not in a cart. Huh? I've never seen a flower cart. I've seen people walking around a corner and they have a bucket of flowers behind a tree. But they're not moving around. Well, but they are. Technically, they're going up and down the side, they're not stationary. They're going down 10 car lengths and then they come back up but that's not a cart. That's a person walking.
I don't think flowers is food, right? Is that?
And yeah, it's not a food either.
It could be anything. They could, as long as they're not stationary and stationed.
Well, I just wanted to clarify that because the way it was making it sound, you were telling me, I was reading into that the push cart cannot go around a neighborhood, but yet what's more annoying to me is an ice cream truck blasting that noise, especially when they're parked right in front of my house.
I love that.
No, I got grandkids, trust me, it's okay, but when you said the push cart, because they have that little horn, that little bell is nowhere near the decimals of an ice cream truck, so I was trying to say, where's the fairness in here, between the two, but that's been clarified, so that's fine. All right, anybody else have any questions? I don't see anybody in the queue. We're going to open up public comment. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
Anybody wishing to speak in the audience at this time on this particular matter? Seeing none, we're going to, no, I'm just playing. Please come on up, make sure you have the microphone down to your, and state your name, please.
My name is Carla Alvarez. Hello, council members. I am the owner of Tacos Manuel 3, as I'm sure some of you have already seen me around. Our taco truck has been operating in the county of Riverside for about a year now. As members of the community, we take a lot of pride in the quality of the food that we contribute to our friends and neighbors, as well as opportunity to give back to the community that we live in. Within the past year, we've learned a lot on how to run our business. We've learned more what role we play in the community. As a circle of regular customers has grown, so has our bond to the members of the community as well. With this being a family business, we aim to serve our customers with as much care and love as we do our own family. This is partly because the city of Perris is our home. We serve down the street from the same high school that my nieces attended. My nephews play at the local parks, and my son as well. We had this in mind when we decided to take on this venture. We had our taco truck built specifically tailored to the county's standards. We wanted to be absolutely certain that our taco truck would be an example of quality, sanitation, and exceptional customer service. As 2020 approaches and the possibility of our permit not being renewed becomes a scary reality, we would like to ask you to reconsider our plans for giving back to our community as well have been growing with our business. One of our favorite memories so far was having the opportunity to serve serve our food at the Lake Perris Suicide Prevention Walk. We are looking forward to more community events and offering portions of our sales to the events that we participate in. This business is run with a lot of love, work, and passion. We would love to continue to see it grow within our home. We aimed not only to meet the county standards, but surpass them. We were advised that the standard insurance policy minimum would be for $1 million worth of coverage, and we purchased a $2 million policy. We would like to ensure the council that there is still something to be contributed by the street vending community. On behalf of Tacos Manuel, I would like to thank you for your time and your consideration. We hope to see you in 2020.
Thank you. Let's see. Anybody else? Come on up, please. State your name.
Hello, my name is Gloria Chamu. I have a business here in the city of Perris. I have seen some of you guys in my business. We are in the corner of Ramon Express and Perris Boulevard, next to a Starbucks. It's a taco shop. I feel that we all have the right to do our business. However, street vending has been affecting my business. We have been on business here in the city of Perris for 11 years. But street vendors have been sitting around our business. I understand that they have the right to do their business. However, this right is affecting my ability to continue in business. My sales have gone down since all this permitted alliance to settle around the streets started. I understand that people have the right to go anywhere they need to. However, these people are sitting right behind our parking lot. They're sitting a block away from my business or a walking distance. We have to pay, we pay our city, we pay all our dues to continue our business. However, they're sitting on the street, and I have seen 3, 4, 5 little standings, taco standing. That's what we sell. That's our main product. So these people are taking our customers because they're right on the street. They're right on their way. And I would like to have something set in place so they could do their business, however, not to be so close to us. I had seen my neighbors, my business neighbors, my other restaurant neighbors around. We have been empty while people, they're parking around the street, walking to these little vendors that are sitting on the streets. And they're like little tables with tents as food trucks. So if there could be something that they could regulate where they can set, that they don't affect the business that are already in place. The ones that we have been in business in the city of Perris for a long time, doing all our dues and helping the city of Perris grow. When we first started, we were the only taco shop in this area. Now we have a lot of other restaurants. However, now my business is kind of going down due to this I don't know how to call them, like this little standings.
Non-licensed.
Non-licensed, thank you.
We got your message. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, thank you, sorry.
Your time, no, it's okay. Your time's up, but what was your first name again?
Gloria.
Gloria? We're almost done with the meeting, and, if you could wait and someone can talk to you. I have some questions, too. I'm going to ask staff based on what you just brought up, but so if you can hold off, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Same as you, Ms. Alvarez. Don't leave if you don't mind. Okay, is there anybody else in the audience right now that wishes to speak on this particular matter? Okay, we're going to close public comment. Before I call the motion, any more comments from council?
One comment.
David, Councilman Rab, you're on the.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I was looking at the proposed ordinance under Section 5-17060, General Operational Standards for Food Trucks. States, Section Subdivision A, no food truck shall operate between 7 a.m. or after 2 a.m., including setup and cleanup, except for private catering functions or special events, as described in the other section it references. I'm thinking 2 a.m. may be a little too late for weeknights, Sunday night through Thursday night. I was wondering if a member of staff could ask me, is there anything prohibiting us from restricting that to, say, midnight during the work week, so we don't have a lot of people milling around food trucks at night?
There's no provision that I'm aware of that we can amend those time frame for the food trucks if you wish to do so.
Can we possibly consider putting that maybe in a resolution versus the ordinance, so we can adjust it if need be without having subsequent readings?
There is actually something in SB 946 that says, in non-residential areas, any limitations on the hours of operation for sidewalk vending, not food trucks, but sidewalk vending, shall not be more restrictive than any limitations on hours of operation imposed on other businesses on the same street. So there is
There's limitations in the state law.
Right.
Okay, that answers my question. I think the state is mandating that we can't be too
That's for
restrictive.
sidewalk vending.
Sidewalk vending. So there's no limitation on food trucks in the state law.
Yeah.
Or would you read that as kind of
I
being read
read it
as
as applying to sidewalk vending.
sidewalk vending? Okay.
And you're referring to the trucks.
The food trucks, yeah, 517.
But this is barely the first reading, so can't we just include this now if we have a consensus?
I think we can, I'm nitpicking it, but I think it's just something we
No,
should
I
consider.
concur with you. In the middle of the week, we should not have these ongoing. What hour were you saying? Midnight, you said?
I was thinking midnight or 1. I like to get feedback from the vendors along with the general public, so we're fair in it. But I just think 2 o'clock on, say, a Wednesday night, it's open till 2 a.m. in the morning. I think it may be a little bit too late. I know it's kind of nitpicking. I just want to make sure we have a good.
It's not nitpicking, Councilman. You're looking out for the interests of the public and of having things out late, and not only that, it causes for criminal activity too, or things to happen of bad nature, so. But I'm thinking, you're trying to do it in a transparent manner, so is there an opportunity where you can go back to the group that you guys reached out to begin with? To get feedback on this?
Certainly, we can take it back and come up with some alternate recommended hours of operation. But my understanding is that the sidewalk vendors cannot be restricted as any other commercial business. But what Councilman Rab is alluding to is the food trucks.
Food trucks.
And we will look into that. Council, Mr. Dunn, I wasn't sure. Is that restriction also applies to the food trucks?
I think it just applies to sidewalk vendors.
Well, that could be part of your research, is just to
we
get
can look at
clarified.
that.
But I would like us to set a time for them to discuss.
Yeah, and not to interject again, but I think with the sidewalk vendors, you don't want them to be more restricted, but I think there poses a different kind of thing that to consider with sidewalk vendors, is that a brick and mortar store, if they're open till 2 a.m., they have lights overhead. Sidewalk vendors, I think we also want to maybe consider the lighting in the area, making sure it's safe for not only the customers, but the vendor themselves, so.
All right.
Just to shed some light, in talking and working with code enforcement, the late-night operations are not the sidewalk vendors. The late-night operations are the food trucks who are open till 2 a.m., 3 o'clock. That's usually when their customers begin to arrive after they leave.
Bars.
Yes. So I will, in going back to them, that's probably when they do most of their business, when most of the brick and mortar facilities are closed and they go to these food trucks late at night. So, but we can certainly go back and talk to them. But I'm thinking that might be an issue they might.
And if I may add, regarding the reading, it mentioned that they can't have any additional light besides what's in the food truck to prepare the food. So if it's a safety issue, then from what I know, they have to be in a very well-lit area because they can't physically come out and place their own lights. Even signage can't have lighting on it. Is that correct?
Actually, this allows them to have an area. They can actually have tables. They can have a canopy if they'd like. They can put some lighting as long as it's not obstructing traffic. It does need to be a certain distance away from a driveway. It has to be in a paved location. So they actually are allowed, as long as it is not impeding traffic or it's, just right onto traffic. So they could.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes, in light of the business owner that came up and spoke, are there any restrictions in this ordinance that we're considering as far as restricting the food truck operators from being in close proximity to a business that's located in a plaza or something to that extent?
There's no provision in terms of proximity to another restaurant. Unless they want to be on a shopping center site, then they need to get permission from the owner of the shopping center. But to my knowledge, the ordinance doesn't have provision with proximity to existing businesses.
So it's perfectly okay in this ordinance for them to be within 100 feet of an existing. If you're a taco truck and you can be within 100 feet of an existing taco business.
The way it's currently constructed, it is written that way.
Is that the state ordinance or is that the ordinance we're considering?
The state is, I would maybe defer to our attorney, but the state doesn't have super strict restrictions for food trucks. So there's more leeway in terms of what the council can make adjustments to the ordinance.
So what you're saying, the city can consider that as part of this ordinance?
I would refer to council, but I believe so. We can add additional requirements, but it's not, it's silent for the state law. It doesn't mention any distance requirements. As Mr. Fung mentioned, it does require the property owner's signature to authorize them to occupy a parking lot within a commercial center.
Because that would definitely be a concern for existing businesses that go through all of the expense of opening a business, paying all of the fees to the health department, and all of the the expenses of operating a legitimate brick and mortar shop. Perhaps because of all the different considerations we've mentioned, perhaps staff can bring this back. Is there a time-sensitive issue on this? After looking into that?
They already have direction for other stuff to come back.
Okay.
So they're taking notes.
Yeah, if we could include that to look at that possibility so that our legitimate businesses that are there are protected as well. And the food operators could be in a different location so as not to compete with the brick and mortar stores. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to inquire location versus brick and mortar. But yet, there's no stipulations in brick and mortars on how close proximity they can be to each other. So an area, for example, where I live on the north end, in the strip malls on the north and south side of Ramon Expressway, there is 1, 2, 3, 4 Latin, Hispanic food restaurants, tacos, what have you, on this one side, and there's only one on the north side. So, and I've never seen a taco truck in the shopping center. They've been over in the area of Ramon Expressway and Evans, if I'm not mistaken. But it's something to look into, but I just want it to be fair and equitable, a brick and mortar versus a truck and brick and mortar, you know what I'm saying? As long as it's fair and equity to everybody. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this law that they brought down, was to be fair to all these business operators, whether they're mobile or stationary. So just food for thought. Okay, if there is nothing else, I will call for a motion on this first reading. Or do you want to summarize what you're going to bring back so we make sure we're good?
You want to just bring it back and then?
Well, I thought we could do the first reading, and when you come back, the second reading will have these changes.
The consensus that I heard was for staff to go investigate some of those things and come back. But if you have specific changes, you could do that.
So for us to move forward, there has to be specific changes now, is what you're saying.
I just heard Councilwoman Rogers asking about operating next to brick and mortar, and staff said they would go review that and talk to some of the operators and the hours of operation.
Well, there's no time frame. We're not in no rush for this, so.
Right.
So, all right, so then go back and do your research, recap what you're going to look into to make sure everybody on the dais is good.
Mayor?
Yes, staff?
I'm sorry. If you can also kind of create a map so we could get like a visualization of which areas would be affected. I don't want to impose too much work on you guys because I know that is, but just kind of a visualization, maybe like something like that, because it's kind of so that we could better understand where and what parts would be affected.
Okay.
Staff is being directed to go back and look at the ordinance as to the hours of operation for food trucks.
Hey, wait, we didn't clarify that. Councilman Rab, I'd like for us to set a time here, a consensus on a time.
I think at this time, I think it's probably best to look into the time. My gut reaction is to say midnight, but I just want to make sure that we're fair with going forward, that we don't run afoul of the state law. But I do think the time, my gut reaction right now is to say midnight, but I think it's something we might want to look into, Mayor.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, will do. And we will also, staff will be directed to look at the distance requirements from existing brick and mortar restaurants. And we'll bring back a map to identify the commercial areas. And we'll also take a look at the exclusive residential versus non-exclusive residential zones as well.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, that covered everybody? Good. All right. So we'll move on to item 10, business items not requiring any hearings, but there is none. Item 11 is public comment. Anybody in the audience? Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Bill Lamb?
Good evening, Mayor Vargas, members of the City Council. I'm Bill Lamb from the Southern California Railway Museum. Right now, the museum is in the midst of its busiest event of the year. We're producing Polar Express. People are having a good time. It's an exciting time. Trains on the weekend are tending to be full, less full during the week. We contracted with a firm called Rail Events to put on the show within the train. The owner of Rail Events was out last weekend, and based on ticket sales, they anticipate somewhere between 30 and 40,000 riding the 99 trains over the 30-day period. So it's been a good time. If you haven't had a chance to come out and look at it, we recommend you do it. Also want to thank and appreciate Mayor Vargas, Mayor Pro Tem Maris Magana, and Councilmember Corona for coming out on the dress rehearsal. The museum really appreciates the attendance that you provide, attendance, and I hope you had a good time and enjoyed the event. Because of the last 2 months, we've been busy with Train Day Out with Thomas and getting ready for the Polar Express. We don't have anything to hand out for this meeting, but our next event will be January 18th and 19th, our annual Behind the Scenes, where people can come out and see items at the museum that they don't normally get to see, areas that aren't normally open to visitors. And finally, I want to take this opportunity to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a happy and prosperous New Year's. And thank you for the kind reception that I've had over the last year at your meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb. Should have brought some hot chocolate, though. Anybody else?
That is all.
Anybody else in the audience that wish to speak at this time, come on up. State your name.
Joshua Nagar. Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. I just wanted to give an update about the Measure W funds. I'm on the Citizen Community Oversight Committee. We had a lot of great news. That committee is headed by Eric Cronke. I think Candace Rains is on it and Grant Bennett. All the projects are moving forward as planned. I think the Perris Union High School project, it's going to happen more this summer because some of the key components are in the middle of the campus, so they can't really be worked on right now. Some of the highlights for that project, I think we upgraded to a CIF-size pool, so that's pretty cool. That's coming. And the CMI additions are going well. some of the magic of what's gone on with Measure W. For those of you who don't know, Measure W just passed. It added about, I think, a $30 a year property tax to the average home here in Perris, California. And our committee oversees the construction, spending, all that kind of stuff to make sure we're good stewards of the public's funds. But long story short, Candace and Grant went up to Sacramento to sell the bonds, and they had 6 to 9 times more buyers than they anticipated. So district bonds are strong right now. They sold it on the one day because of China or this or that was the best day to sell bonds. I don't pretend to understand it. Candace Raines is probably one of the smartest people I've ever met. She knows everything, but ask her. Long story short, I think we have more money than we set out to have, and we're going to have to borrow less money than we thought. So perhaps not the first year, but the second year, we hope to drop the anticipated $30 annually to about 24 to 26, a 1/6 reduction of what we said we would need, and we think will be $6 million to the plus on what we have. So that oversight's going well, and it's a great team. You get smarter just being in the room. Mr. Good's on that, Grant Bennett's in the room, Candace Raines, Mr. Cronky, and a host of other really impressive folks. So the funds are well looked after, and we did well at the Sacramento stock selling. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for the update. Anybody else?
Hello. So my name is Brian Fabella, and me and my wife run Tacos Manuel 3. I know you said something about the time thing from being from 12 to 2. I'm going to tell you something. Right there, we're in Ramon Expresso in Evans. From 12 to 2, Lowe's and Ross Distribution Center, most of their employees take their lunch break at that time, so that's our busiest time. After 2, there's no one really there, so that's really what time we pick up. And another thing what the lady said as well about other vendors being around her business area, I do see that a problem, because where I'm at, there's also a lady that just parks her little van and just starts selling tacos. I do not agree with that. I agree with like having public safety, business license, everything. I do agree with that, and I also do agree with, being respectful. So like where she's at, I wouldn't park myself next to her or have my people park in her property, because what I don't want people to do to me, I wouldn't want me to do to them. So that's how I feel. And it's been a long journey for me and my wife, I know that. So I just hope that you guys can move on forward and make a decision. If we could be here, thank God, and if we can't, then we got to move to another city. But we lived here I've been here all my life. Don't want to go to another city. The reason why I picked that corner is because I know that it's a busy street and it's away from other people and other restaurants. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind, that we do respect other restaurants and other owners as well. And also in the time-wise, we do respect that as well. If you guys, that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
I do have a clarifying question. With the breaks, you were talking about that the Lowe's employees, they take their breaks. You're talking about in the daytime or?
The night shift.
The night shift?
Yes.
From 12 to 2?
I'm not sure exactly
around
that time, but I do know that we do get different employees come from that time. I'm not sure exactly what time, but I do, or like Amazon drivers as well, because I know I do see their Amazon logos, and I ask them like, "What are you guys doing?" "Oh, we're at lunch," and we don't have no one there at our spot selling food. So we're like, "Oh, okay, well we're open."
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Anybody else? Lavella, I think she keeps trying to come on up. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just have a couple of announcements as we look forward to Black History 2020. For those, my name is Lavella Singer, and I'm with the Dora Nelson African American Art and History Museum. Our museum is a local institution whose mission is to document and preserve history and contributions of African Americans in Perris and beyond. The Nelson family, who was the first Negro family to settle in Perris in 1900, Marianne, Benjamin, and Dora, for whom our museum is named, arrived in Paris in 1920 with her 3 orphan granddaughters after being denied membership and was later permitted to attend the only church in town at that time. Dora began a small prayer meeting in her home, and from there grew the first Negro church in Paris. Recent research reveals that Dora, the Nelson family, was laid to rest in Paris, the Perris Valley Cemetery. However, there were no markers on their final resting place. Our museum campaigned to raise funds to place markers on the grave of these early pioneers of Paris and to recognize their contribution to our community. We will commemorate Dora and her family on the 100th anniversary of Dora's arrival in Paris with a special unveiling ceremony of the markers on Sunday, February the 2nd, 2020 at 2 p.m. at the Dora Nelson African American Art and History Museum, for the current community to be informed of this little known and nearly lost history. As community partners, we invite you to join in attending, and there are sponsorships available for this historic occasion, and plan to attend. The Dora Nelson is a nonprofit organization, and any contributions would be greatly appreciated. We also would like to let you know that the Perris Valley Historical Museum, who usually hosts their Pioneer Family of the Year at the end of January, have moved their date to February the 1st in order to accommodate the Nelson family. They've selected Dora Nelson's family as the Pioneer Family for 2020. So we have, in consideration of family members that will travel to this event, we have it on February. We will hold the first event by the Perris Historical Society on Saturday, February the 1st, 2020, and then of course our unveiling and commemorative event at the Dora Nelson Museum will be Sunday, February the 2nd, 2020 at 2 p.m. And the Saturday event is 11 p.m. So I look forward to your support, and any questions or comments. Katie Keys apologized that she couldn't be here and wanted me to make sure that you all were aware of the February 1st date.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to move on. Item 12 is council communications. We'll start with Councilman Rabb.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Before I forget, I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, and Happy New Year. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out to the last City Council meeting for this decade. I'd like to just remind everyone, and like to thank everyone for the productive discussion and dialogue. The Brown Act prohibits us from discussing these particular items prior to getting on this dais and being in front of the public. So a lot of times we're going through and we're parsing things out here in public. So I just want to let everyone know we like to have kind of like a workshop meeting. And I'd like to thank staff for going through and revising some of the ordinances we have. And I'd like to thank Mr. Favela for bringing up that point regarding the time of the ordinance. Like I had mentioned earlier, my gut reaction was to say no past midnight. But I think that comes from a perspective of an individual that works a 9-to-5 job and is privileged to work those hours versus people that might work swing shifts or fire or cops. And I'd like to thank the other individual restaurant owner for coming in and sharing your concerns regarding the brick or mortar restaurants. I think the state has given us guidelines and we're trying to be fair to all parties involved. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming out, sharing your concerns and expressing your concerns regarding that item and regarding the Nuevo Road closure item as well. So I just want to once again thank everyone for coming out tonight and wish you a Happy New Year. I'd like to send my condolences to Joanne Evans' family. And I know Councilwoman Rogers, who served along Ms. Evans, will probably have a lot more to say regarding her stewardship here on the city. But I admire her 4 years of dedication to this council. She served during a time in the midst of the Great Recession. A lot of hard decisions were made that set the city up on a financial footing that is firm. And after leaving the council in 2012, she didn't disappear. She
maintained an active presence in this community, hosting numerous events with the American Legion, including the annual Memorial Day celebration. And she was just there this past Memorial Day at the Perris Valley Cemetery. So I'd like to send my condolences to the Evans family, my condolences to Iro Evans, my condolences to the whole American Legion family, and just want to make it clear that this council really appreciated Ms. Evans' commitment to service. This past November, I had the opportunity to attend the National League of Cities and represent the city of Perris. Typically, as council members, we attend the California League of Cities, which is held usually in Long Beach or Sacramento. The National League of Cities was held in San Antonio, and they had various conferences regarding city financial conditions. I attended a conference on city financial conditions. I have materials I'm going to be sharing with my colleagues. There was another conference I attended called Unpacking How to Embed Racial Equity Across City Government. And we had various cities such as Tacoma, Washington, other cities in the Midwest. They gave discussions on how they train their city employees to deal with diverse communities and how to thrive in those diverse communities. So if we can look at possibly have a training, if we don't have it, for our city employees and our council members, we're a diverse community, we're a developing community. I think it's important, it's imperative that we learn how to interact with people of different backgrounds and people of different ethnicities, not only ethnicities, but a lot of times socioeconomic backgrounds. I had the opportunity to attend Stanford University, and there were people who had my ethnicity, but they didn't have the socioeconomic background of being a working class person or coming from a working class community. So I think it's important moving forward that we look into implementing those programs. And also attended a conference on after-school policy advisors, a luncheon meeting, and there was a program that the city of San Antonio has. There's businesses that they consider businesses that are long-term businesses in the city, and the city has partnered with those businesses to help ensure that they remain in the city of San Antonio. So the city offers tax breaks to those particular businesses. So when I meet with City Manager Belmutis, we'll discuss that in further detail next year regarding the potential of offering that to our long-term businesses. One other item I'd like to investigate is the tax policies for the dispensaries and cultivation businesses. Had an opportunity to meet with several people in those businesses, and they had expressed their concerns regarding the tax policy not being fair. So if we could set up a time where we can meet with Mr. Nagar regarding those tax policies and the application fees, I think it would be better. He would have the insight for the people representing those particular businesses moving forward. This past Monday, I had the opportunity also to attend the RCA, the Riverside Conservation Authority. I learned that in September of 2019, that's the most recent data, the city of Perris issued 20 residential permits, 37.3 commercial industrial acres were developed, and we were the third in terms of development within the city, or within the county, after the city of Eastvale and the county of Riverside. So we are making moves on that front. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Once again, hope you have a happy holiday, a happy new year, and I'll see you in 2020s. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Corona?
Thank you, Mayor. I did have a chance to attend the ring event, which was actually held in this very room right here. It was a successful event. Lots of residents coming out, getting those waivers to get ring products and making their community and their own homes very safe. I just want to remind everyone to be safe during the holiday season. Unfortunately, there's other people that a couple Grinches out there. So just ensure that you are taking responsible actions when you get your products sent to your house. I also attended the dog park opening with Councilwoman Rogers and the mayor. Just a great event. All the dog owners were happy, and especially the dogs themselves were extremely happy. So it was just a great event. It's a beautiful park, lots of space. We will continuously look to see how we can improve it. I know currently there's no water over there for the dogs, so ensure that you're taking some kind of water over there. But just a great event. It's over there on the corner of Old Evans and Ryder, but inside the neighborhood. It's really easy to find. A garden, our 17th, 18th garden for the Temple Christian preschool. So it just happens to be I have a personal connection to that actual preschool. It was just a great event. Just seeing all the kids, just so happy. It's our first preschool garden that we've had. Just wonderful. The kids are seeing how they grow. Every time I walk in there, they always mention how how the plants are just getting bigger and stuff like that. So I want to thank the staff for doing an excellent job and an excellent event. Since Bill Lamb's here, I want to give you a special thank you. That event was fantastic, the Polar Express. So for those who may not know, to put on an event like that, it's very expensive, and the costs are maybe a little higher than what some residents can do. So what the museum did, they for their dress rehearsal, they invited certain residents and their families, and especially the kids, to come out and see the dress rehearsal for the Polar Express. I think after that event, I probably read that book to my son like 12 times at least. So and then he sits there with a little bell and stuff like that. So it's a great event, and I'm talking to other people that went to the event, and they're sharing a similar story. So I just want to tell you thank you, and to the museum for putting that event on. I cannot forget this, but this weekend we were here at the city campus and in the park right here at Foss Field, and I joined about 3 dozen residents, mostly youth, getting their community service, and also adults too, because they were out there just cleaning up, just picking up stuff between cigarette butts and just little trash here and there, so that in the future our public works can focus on the important the important projects of keeping the city clean. So I want to give a special thank you to the YAC and to the staff and Arsenio, who's here, who was out there just picking up trash. A couple of the public works individuals were there. So we are going to continue to do this. YAC, as a successful event, it kind of helps clean up our parks, and it gives the kids their very valuable community service hours that almost all of them need. So I want to thank you all for coming out to that. I do sit on the RTA. I'm on the RTA. That's for the bus public transportation. So they did give us information during those holiday break for our teens. Bus rides, 25 cents. So you could go, take a little bus ride, but get your parents' permission, of course. But 25 cents. And then I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. We will see you in 2020. And that's all the comments from me. Thank you.
Councilwoman Rogers.
Good evening, everyone. As the city's representative to WRCOG, we have a partnership to exchange all of the street lights in the city with the LED light bulbs. That process will start the first quarter of 2020. So in all of the neighborhoods throughout the city of Perris, you will see your street lights improve greatly. There will be a number on the poles, so if there is an outage or whatever, you can call directly. The turnaround time is much quicker than Southern California Edison. So look forward to that happening in brighter streets in the city of Perris the first quarter of 2020. I also serve on the Western Community Energy Board, and starting April 20, we will be launching the energy program for the city of Perris. You will be receiving notices in the mail. You will have the option to opt out of Southern California Edison as your provider and to go with Western Community Energy, saving up to about 2% on your utility bills each and every month. So that will be happening in April of 2020. It is the Christmas season. A lot of churches will be doing turkey giveaways. For those of you that are interested in sponsoring someone, our friends from SWAG are here tonight. I don't know if you saw the news article, but they were burglarized the last couple of days and lost over $7,000 worth of toys and gift cards for the community. So for those of you that have a generous heart and want to make a difference this Christmas, please reach out to our SWAG organization and help them replenish what they lost. And yes, I was very blessed during the years of 2008 to 2012 to serve with Miss Joanne Evans. She was a true leader, a great asset to the city council, very innovative. Underneath her leadership, we implemented a lot of policies. Coming from working as a PIO for the fire department, she was particularly proud when we opened the new fire station and the emergency operations station, and she will be greatly missed throughout the community. It was a very sad occasion that she was called home, but we wish her family the very best. We know Iro is very distressed and grieving right now, so please keep him lifted up in prayers, as well as her children and her extended family throughout the city at the Legion Hall and the VFW. And that's all I have to say this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to go ahead and express a very special thank you to those who came up during public comment to express your views. I hope you know the value of that and how that would help guide our work. So thank you for doing so, and I encourage you to continue doing so in order for us to establish these ordinances and resolutions in regarding to this particular matter. And then, of course, a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a prosperous and healthy New Year for all of the City of Perris residents. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Nicely done. I'll keep my laundry list short too. Just a few things. Perris High School Student Union, I guess it's the same like ABS leadership. They sponsored a community holiday dinner to the community, free. It was a turkey dinner. It was a really nice event that I went to, mainly sponsored by their own faculty members. I attended the annual Manufacturing Housing Educational Trust annual holiday luncheon, and once again, I was lucky and my name was drawn for a $500 gift certificate to any nonprofit organization in the city. And I have chosen this year, or this time around, to donate that $500, not for me to donate, but for MEHT to donate it to the P-Town Boxing Academy here in Perris. I hope someone hears me out there. I've been trying to reach out to the head coach there, Mr. Ochoa Angel. He hasn't returned my call, so Merry Christmas to you and your boys with the $500 gift donation from the Manufacturing Housing Educational Trust Fund. Shop with the Cop, another outstanding program this year again. I think we had 22 kids. Each had a shopping spree of about $300 each. It was a fabulous event sponsored with a lot of good entities or public or business partners, chambers, the city. Josh, who else sponsored that event? A lot of businesses, right? And then, of course, Walmart did a fantastic job. They provided the kids with the breakfast in the beginning and the helpers. Tremendous police response and explorers and the volunteers. They had a light and siren escort all the way over to the Walmart. It concluded with going back to the police station, getting a few more gifts, as well as wrapping up the gifts and having pizza. So it was it's really inspiring. It happened again, but the first time when I did it myself or participated with them, to see these kids actually shopping for their family members. They weren't buying stuff for themselves. They're buying things for their mom and their dads. Some kids actually had a list of food that what mom needed in the house, and he's coming home or she's coming home to bring food back home to the house. So it's a really good event, and I thank the Sheriff's Department, our Perris Police Department for putting on a good show, and hopefully it's going to be even bigger and better next year. Perris Panther Pee Wee Division I are Super Bowl champions again this year. Big prompts to them. We hope to be seeing them in our January meetings. Staff, one more quick thing. Maybe did you guys look at county ordinance regarding the vendors? Good. You did? Okay, excellent. RTA, Mr. Corona, can you look into, I've been getting approached a lot by a lot of community members that the City of Riverside offers bus passes at reduced at a half cost, and it's due to some Senate bill or Assembly bill or something. So maybe we can look into that and see how they're doing it, and maybe bring it back to the city manager and see what can we offer at least our students, if anything, here in Perris.
Definitely find something to talk to them.
I think we offer it to the students already. We could extend it to other residents if that's the direction.
So now our students now get half off?
I think it's more than half. I think it's subsidized.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
talking about grammar school kids. I've been told they're paying full price.
Right now, I think we do it for college students, so we could expand that if that's the
Okay,
direction.
yeah.
Yeah, I know all the colleges through their school, they all pay a fee. All of them pretty much passed it, so all the college kids should get accepted. But
Okay,
yeah,
well,
we'll definitely look
I'm
into that.
referring to K through 12 then.
Okay, we'll look
If
into
we can
that.
be more specific, and maybe we can just look into it, city manager too, maybe we can see what the cost may be. And I too thank the speakers for coming out, and again, I'm gonna reiterate online here for our listeners outdoors, if you have something you wanna bring to the council's matters or attention, please come to a city council meeting. Expressing your views on Facebook is not the appropriate tool to get something across. We need to hear from you here. You're here, you're speaking to us. It'll be a public record matter. So this is just the most appropriate way to bring something across to our attention so that we can help you out. Or if anything, on Facebook, reach out to a councilperson to go see you and work something out. Because we do care about our city, we care about our lifestyle here and the safety for everybody, and the only way we can do that productively is if we're discussing it here on our dais and not on a social media platform. So do appreciate everybody that does take the time to come out, and I'm looking forward to speaking to some of you after this meeting. Okay, that's it. We'll move on to 13, City Manager's Report.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is our holiday season, so it's a very active time of the year for us. So we have several community events that we want to make the public aware of. The first one is this Friday, December the 13th at 6 p.m. At Copper Creek Park. We've had some previous outreaches at that community a few months ago, and this is kind of the follow-through. So we invite members of that community to come out. The first 100 participants will receive a dinner plate of tacos, rice, and beans for the first 100 participants to give us feedback. And there's also some giveaways and special raffles. That same night, there's a rumor that Santa Claus is going to be driving around town in the trolley. We've been collecting toys for the past month or so with the chamber, as well as many businesses and the Historic Society. And we're going to join Santa in delivering those on December 13th at 3 secret locations. So be on the lookout for the trolley this Friday. We also, the very next day, are having our 31st annual Christmas parade in downtown D Street. Starts at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the subsequent awards happen right after that in the gym, and that's an event in itself if you ever attended to it, so we invite you to participate on that. Friday, December 20th, we're having the Senior Christmas Luncheon at Bob Glass Museum. We are having the open mic night that same day in the evening at the Statler Youth Center. So we have something for both our seniors and our youth. And then the next day, we're having breakfast with Santa at the gym, 9:30 a.m. I think we have 2 seatings for that event, 9:30 and 11. And then finally, the Youth Advisory Committee is teaming with the Lera family, I hope I said that right, for a toy drive. They did it last year, so they're doing that again this year. They're collecting toys up until then, up until December 23rd, and they will be distributed on Monday, December 23rd at the Bob Class Gym. Last year was the first year we did it, and we had over 400 families that received toys. And then finally, we'll wrap up with our social media specialist, Karina Espinosa, is going to introduce a special award competition that I think Councilmember Corona suggested. Ms. Espinosa.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of City Council. My name is Karina Espinosa, the social media specialist, and I'm here to introduce the Deck the Walls Perris competition, the city's first holiday lighting and decoration contest. Join the fun for a chance to win a Deck the Walls Perris trophy, a framed photo, and bragging rights, as it's time to brighten up these early winter nights and participate in Deck the Walls Perris. The contest is open to all homes and residential areas within Perris city limits. You know what? How about we just play the video, Everett? It's time to lighten up these early winter nights. Participate in Deck the Walls Perris, the city's first holiday lighting and decoration contest. Join the holiday fun for a chance to win a Deck the Walls Perris trophy, a framed photo, and bragging rights. Contest is open to all homes and residential areas within Perris city limits. Submit an untouched video or photo of your home using the hashtag DeckTheWallsParis on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Or submit your entry via email to deckthewallsparis@cityofparis.org. Top 3 homes and top 3 residential areas will be posted on social media December 22nd, where the public will choose the winner. Top home and top residential area will be announced December 30th and be presented at City Council January 14th. What? This concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions.
That's a wrap, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Item 14 is our adjournment, and I'd like to adjourn in honor of our former Councilwoman Joanne Evans. And we thank everybody for coming out tonight, and hope you have a happy holidays with your family.